Guys, you ever go to a film in today's era and you think to yourself, man, I wish I could do it all over again in the 1980s or 1990s when things were a little more simpler, people were a little less offended perhaps. Films like Airplane in 1990, Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part Deux, even films like 1985's Clue or the Ace Ventura franchise. We just can't do it. We've lost our funny bone. We can't sit down and just be stupid for 2 hours and laugh our asses off at jokes that literally make no sense. Until now, let's talk about the new reboot for The Naked Gun. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Garage. Gerald here with you. I got a quick movie review for you. Paramount Pictures was kind enough to invite me to an early screening for The Naked Gun, which is a reboot of the wildly successful police parody films starring Leslie Nielsen, starting originally in 1988 with The Naked Gun, Files from the Police Squad, and then of course two really successful sequels as well, 1991's The Smell of Fear, which was Naked Gun 2.5, and 33 1/3, The Final Insult, which came out in 1994, which was the year I graduated high school. And I will tell you that those last two, the sequels, were two of the films that were literally on repeat for me in my household as a dumb teenager. And I guess I should maybe double think why this one also hit with me so well at the age of 49. My sense of humor is apparently not aged as much as my body has. The 2025 Naked Gun. The law's reach never stretched this far. Only one man has the particular set of skills to lead police squad and save the world, and it's Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr. It stars Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. Paul Walter Hauser is also in here in a pretty funny role, and you will find a ton of guest spots and cameos in this movie that I'm probably not going to mention any of those by name because they were all really surprising. Now, I can't promise you that social media and your friends online won't spoil it. In fact, they probably already have, and the freaking movie doesn't even come out for a couple more days.
This world is such a violent place.
Was not be out of a job.
I also mentioned the original Naked Gun films. There were three of them starting in '88 and going through the mid-90s that all leaned heavily into that same tone. And because I love those movies so much, I watched them literally every time they came on TBS or TNT. I would stop no matter what I was flipping to or changing the channel for. I mean, the Super Bowl could have been on, and if I'd have seen The Naked Gun 33 1/3 on TBS, I would have probably watched it for a little while. I was worried, though, because of my attachment to those original films, like Hollywood's coming in here with another remake, reboot, legacy sequel. I don't even know what the hell is what anymore, but all of those phrases get used when Hollywood digs up an old franchise that was wildly successful in its time and remakes it for a new generation, demographic, whatever. They did this thing justice because there were just enough callbacks and homages to those original films from the Police Squad, but it still was its own thing. It almost like had the spirit of those original movies, but introducing you to all new characters in a new setting to kind of tell the story. Of course, the main connection that we get is this is Frank Drebin Jr., which is the son, portrayed by Liam Neeson, of Leslie Nielsen's. By the way, those names are so familiar. I actually thought for a second, maybe they cast Liam Neeson because it sounds literally like Leslie Nielsen, but that's too obvious unless that's kind of part of the joke. But it doesn't matter why they cast him because Liam Neeson freaking killed this. He is a mix of Leslie Nielsen from those first films and Airplane and other stuff, where he's just kind of absent-minded and a buffoon. And he brought in hints of his character from Taken, the Taken films. I also kind of saw a little bit of Clint Eastwood in there. Think like Dirty Harry in the 70s and 80s. So he's got that really rugged, like, tough policeman. But I'm also kind of stupid and I just fall into stuff and it falls into my lap and I'm able to solve it because of that, which is part of the joke of these types of parody films. This is a comedy film that knows how to be funny. It exists just to make you laugh. It is not trying to mix in any kind of social commentary or any kind of payoff on the back end. Even with the case in the movie that we're following, it doesn't matter. It's really stupid. They basically tell you what's happening up front. I'm talking about the viewer, so there's no like mystery around it. That is not part of the movie, really. It's just there to be a device to allow these really stupid, naive characters to come into the frame and kind of fall through the story, tell their jokes. The one-liners hit, the backdrop jokes are going on the whole time, and the jokes per minute ratio in this movie is absolutely insane. Like, I went with my buddy Dan, producer Dan, to watch the movie, and between him and I don't think there was a moment after the like first 5 minutes of the movie to the end of the film, and I'm talking about during the credits, that one of us or both of us was not laughing. And that can be said for everybody in my theater. It was a packed house, and there was a ton of laughter happening during the showing of this film. I mentioned all those movies that I would compare it to from the 90s, and that's a lost art, in my opinion, whether it's because of the political landscape or, everything has to be societally connected somehow and it has to have like a point. And there's a place for that too, and I love a lot of those films also. But this, like, no point, stupid, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter type of film has kind of gone away. The last ones that I can even think of that would be remotely as good as this Naked Gun reboot or would have permeated the zeitgeist to kind of live on beyond its release would be Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, which came out in 2016. And that was, of course, the Lonely Island, Andy Samberg, hilarious parody film on like pop stars and boy bands and celebrity. And Game Night was another one that, Game Night had a little bit more of an elaborate plot in 2018 with Jason Bateman and others. A hilarious performance by Jesse Plemons and his dog in that movie, by the way. I would say the best way to describe this, and what may end up being the title of my written review, is that this is a comedy that dares to be dumb again. It dares to have no point again. And you can do that and still be a great film because you are harnessing the spirit of what you're trying to promote, which is to get people to forget about literally anything else in their lives that may be causing them stress or causing them to not laugh, to frown. And this movie does that. The runtime, it's like 80 minutes. Okay, and I'm talking about from like opening frame to credits. It's like 80 minutes. My buddy Dan, I mentioned, he looked at his watch. He's like 78 minutes or something like that. And then the credits roll. I mean, I'm like, that is phenomenal. You get in, you get out. Again, it's not about anything else that's going on. It's about the characters and their jokes and how they interact with each other. And if you do that too long, if you carry that to like 2 hours, let's say, then people like me or that critique film will start to find negatives because it'll drag or you'll reuse the jokes or like whatever. It doesn't do that. It's purely original, scene to scene, act to act. And it's following this narrative of catching the bad guys, which there's a couple great performances in that respect as well. And along the way is what the story is really about. Him falling over what looks like a title card where it says, later that day, and then somebody's walking into the frame and they trip over the letters because they're actually in the scene. Shit like that. This movie has a ton of what I'll say demands rewatchability because you miss stuff because there's literally a joke in every frame. There's something happening that is funny, whether it's the dialogue between the characters, and sometimes when it's not that, it's the backdrop, it's the extras, it's different set pieces that are in the frame, that if you're not, and really a viewer can't pay attention to all of it at one time, which is why I love those first three films so much, and I mentioned rewatching them over and over again, because I saw those movies 10, 15 times each, and I probably found something new and hilarious every single time I watched it, because you just have to like pause it almost and like, oh my God, that's funny. Oh my God, look what he's doing. Oh my God, she said that. You have to catch everything a second, third, fourth time to really get the whole joke. And that's the beauty of these types of films too. Aside from Liam Neeson, who was stellar, Pamela Anderson killed it. I mean, we're talking about one of the bombshells of modern cinema, at least. And in that era that we're talking about in the 90s and definitely like into the 2000s, she was a sex symbol. She was the like blonde bombshell. Playboy magazine, on Baywatch, like the object of pretty much every man's affection. She gets a rebirth here to kind of be that character, but be an elder version of that character and age appropriate, if you will. And still very sexy, very beautiful, and very funny. Like that's the key, is that her and Liam Neeson are the two characters carrying this narrative. And if their deadpan delivery and they're kind of being in on the joke doesn't land, then the movie's not going to be as praised by me and others as it is being praised. She fits in perfectly and is a great compliment to Liam Neeson's. Their chemistry is great and they bounce off of each other. There's a freaking montage in this movie. I'm going to talk about these needle drops real quick. One of them is in this montage that is completely detached from the rest of the film. It's these two characters in a slow motion montage of them kind of becoming a romantic couple. I mean, it is so dumb, and I loved every second of it. Part of the reason why I loved it and it's probably my favorite scene in the movie, is because of the freaking needle drop they use for it, which I won't give away, but it's a Diane Warren song. Every time I go in a door at a retail establishment, I hear a Diane Warren song. I heard her in this movie, or at least her lyrics, and it's perfect. Perfect. There's also needle drops in this movie from the Black Eyed Peas, or Fergie, and Enya in the last act of the film. I'm not going to tell you which songs, but holy shit, I was levitating above my seat at these. I mean, they were so consciously chosen. They weren't lazy picks for like songs that people recognize. Like, oh, they're going to know, Take On Me by a-ha. Just play that. It kind of fits. No, they put some thought into these needle drops to where they made sense with what was going on, but it also added comedic value to the scene because of how kind of absurd matching the song with the moment was. Perfect. I mean, the literally only negative, I'm not even kidding, out of 100 bullet points I have for this movie, the literally one negative that I would tell you is that Paul Walter Hauser was underused. That's literally it. He was in the first act pretty prominently because he's Liam Neeson's partner. We find out that he is Ed Hocken Jr. So he's essentially the son of George Kennedy's character from the first trilogy of Naked Gun films, who was brilliant. There's also an O.J. Simpson joke in here, which is also in the trailer, where it's like not even a joke, really. They're just kind of like, yeah, we could make a bunch of O.J. jokes, and that would be hilarious, and people would probably love it, but we're not going to. And in doing that, that was a joke. This movie is meant to make people laugh. And if you go to this film and you don't laugh, then you didn't like it. It's not going to be a positive review from you. But I loved it, and it is a positive review from me. Let's get to my score. So as you know, I give a score for the craft, and I give a score for the crux. The craft is like the technical aspects of the film, which this is not really leaning that direction. But you know what? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for the craft score. Because of the needle drops, the music that I mentioned is really the main thing. It was just brilliant use of that stuff. And there is a lot of really cool practical effects they use in this movie to be props for jokes. I don't want to give anything away, but they actually call back to older 80s and 90s cinema that's not even comedies. Like there's references to like Brian De Palma from the 80s in this film used as a set piece for a joke. And the crux of the film is, the essence of the movie, how well everything else outside of the technical stuff hit. And it hit hard. I'm also going to give that a 9 out of 10. Brilliant. Like I said, the only thing is I wish Paul Walter Hauser had a little bit more to do and was a little more prominent. So overall, The Naked Gun, which is a reboot from one of my favorite franchises of the 80s and 90s, is also going to be sitting right at a 9 out of 10. As far as comedies go, and as far as dumb slapstick comedies go, this is perfection. 9 out of 10 from me. That's my review of The Naked Gun. Real quick, this weekend, I'm going to be doing a drawing. I'm going to be giving away this thing, Sinners. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, I love that movie. What do I have to do to win it? Literally, all you have to do is hit subscribe. That's it on this video. Subscribe to this channel. Be subscribed when I do the drawing. Have your public subs turned on, which is an option you have to choose in YouTube so that I can verify it. And every single month until the end of time, or when I run out of movies, which might take a while, I'm going to give away a digital 4K code, and it's going to be for a new release. So for this year, it'll be for 2025 movies. Next month, I'm going to be doing Final Destination Bloodlines. This month, I'm giving away a copy of Sinners, and all you have to do, like I said, is subscribe to the channel. I'll be giving it away this weekend, and then we'll flip into August and be a whole new month, but I'm just thanking my subs. You guys are the best. I gained a couple thousand subs since last award season, because I talk about that really heavily here on the channel. But if you're new to the channel and you want to win a movie and you like movies and you like hearing a guy drink beer in the garage talking about movies, which is essentially my life, please subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of the Naked Gun reboot? Are you excited to see it if you have not seen it? Did my review or other reviews sway you to maybe go check this thing out? I really, really think you should. It's one of my favorite movies that's come out this year. Thanks for tuning into this movie review, guys. I will see you out here next time in the garage.